What does it say when the man Trump chose to lead the FBI? I can't even condemn pardoning those who attacked police officers on January 6th. This isn't leadership. It's blind loyalty to one individual, not adherence to the law. Senator Dick Durbin wasn't about to let him dodge accountability. He stood firm, demanding answers. If you believe in standing up for justice, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more in-depth discussions. Drop a comment with your thoughts. Let's keep the conversation going.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Patel, I woke up this morning to National Public Radio, and they had an item on there about what has happened to those who were given blanket clemency by President Trump. One of these individuals was a man named Matthew Huddle. Are you familiar with him?
I'm sorry, what was the last name?
Matthew Huddle.
If you could remind me, Senator.
Well, I was reminded again this morning. He's a man who's been found guilty of numerous crimes. The one described this morning was an outrageous situation where he beat his 3-year-old child to a point where the poor kid couldn't even sit down for a week. Mr. Huddle was one of the demonstrators who came to the Capitol on January 6th. He was incarcerated and charged with, and pled guilty to crimes that he had committed, violence against police officers. After he was released by President Trump, he returned to his home state of Indiana. A few days later, he was stopped on the road, pulled a gun on a policeman. The policeman, sheriff's deputy, turned and shot and killed him. This is not the only instance of a person who received President Trump's clemency committing another crime. Peter Schwartz was mentioned this morning on the radio. 38 criminal convictions, 38. He'd been sentenced to 14 years in prison. He was released because of the president's unconditional clemency, which was given to him as well. So I guess my question is this. Was President Donald Trump wrong to give blanket clemency to the January 6 defendants?
Thank you, Ranking Member. A couple of things on that. One, the power of the presidential pardon is just that, the president.
Well, I concede he has the authority. I'm asking, was he wrong to do it?
And as we discussed in our private meeting, Senator, I have always rejected any violence against law enforcement, and I have, including in that group, specifically addressed any violence against law enforcement on January 6th, and I do not agree with the commutation of any sentence of any individual who committed violence against law enforcement.
So do you think that America is safer because these 1,600 people have been given an opportunity to come out of serving their sentences and live in our communities again?
Senator, I have not looked at all 1,600 individual cases. I have always advocated for imprisoning those that cause harm to our law enforcement and civilian communities. I also believe America is not safer because President Biden's commutation of a man who murdered 2 FBI agents, Agent Kohler's and Williams' family, deserve better than to have the man that point blank range fired a shotgun into their heads and murdered them released from prison. So it goes both ways.
Leonard Pelletier was in prison for 45 years. He's 80 years old, and he was sentenced to home confinement. So he's not free, as you might have just suggested.
He killed 2 FBI agents.
That's true, he did, and he went to prison for it and should have. My question to you, though, is do you think America is safer because President Trump issued these pardons to 1,600 of these criminal defendants, many of whom violently assaulted our police in the Capitol?
Senator, America will be safe when we don't have 200,000 drug overdoses in 2 years. America will be safe when we don't have 50 homicides in a day.
So you just won't answer the question. I'm going to say, I don't think we're safer. Matthew Huddle was sent back to Indiana. I don't think we're safer with Peter Schwartz. I could go through a long list of individuals, some of who were wanted in states, members of this committee. Let me move to another topic if I can. Tell me about your J6 choir. What is that?
Well, it's not my choir. It's simply a recording that was utilized to raise funds for families in need of nonviolent offenders.
Who sings on this recording?
I don't know, Senator.
What did you have to do with it?
Simply to raise funds to assist families of nonviolent offenders whose kids needed college education payments, and whose rent needed being paid.
My understanding is that the performers on this J6 choir were the rioters who are in prison.
I'm not aware of that, sir. I didn't have anything to do with the recording.
You weren't aware of who made the recording?
No, Senator.
That's interesting. Did you receive any money for selling copies of that music or that recording?
Absolutely not.
Okay. You do have a foundation, though, do you not?
I'm very proud of the Cash Foundation and the $1.3 million we've given to families in need across this country, including active duty service members, police officers, putting kids in college, and helping people in disaster relief areas rebuild their homes and their communities.
1&0 LLC, are you familiar with that?
Sorry?
1&0 LLC?
I believe, Senator, you're referring to the LLC that one of the individuals has his private business with.
Is it part of the Cash Foundation in any way?
Only in that one of the members of the board has that LLC for his outside business.
Andrew Allis?
I believe that's his name, yes.
Yes. Do you know how much was paid to him from your charitable work?
Yes, like any other charity, we had to go out and fundraise, something I'm sure every member of this committee is familiar with. And we used digital marketing campaigns, and I believe we paid a digital marketing company through 1&0 $250,000 to raise $500,000, which we gave away to families in need, like when hurricanes struck Florida, Texas, and North Carolina.
We will be going through the details of your foundation and the expenditures with the questions for record that the chairman has mentioned.
I look forward to
a chance to answer those under oath. Mr. Patel, you frequently associated with and sometimes praised extremist figures with well-documented histories of racism, anti-Semitism, conspiracies, and the like. In September of 2023, you appeared with Laura Loomer at an event promoting your book, this one here. You shared a photo of yourself and Loomer in which you held her book and she held yours. Just a few months before this event, Ms. Loomer posted on X that the September 11 terrorist attacks were, quote, an inside job. Around that time, she accused Florida's First Lady, Casey DeSantis, of exaggerating her cancer diagnosis to gain voter sympathy. A number of my Republican colleagues on this committee have criticized Ms. Loomer's extremism. One of my colleagues described her as a, quote, crazy conspiracy theorist who regularly utters disgusting garbage. Another called her really toxic. Given all of this, why did you associate with Ms. Loomer?
Senator, as you can see, I took a photograph with an individual who showed up at a book event. I don't believe I'm guilty by association, and I certainly don't believe that an individual who is the first minority to serve as the Deputy Director of National Intelligence for this country is a racist in any way, and I detest any conjecture to the contrary.
You familiar with the Stu Peters? Does that name ring a bell?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you familiar with Mr. Stu Peters?
Not off the top of my head.
He made 8 separate appearances on his podcast. He promoted outrageous conspiracy theories and worked with a prominent neo-Nazi. There are more, Ted Nugent, it goes on, list goes on. I'm just asking, when it comes to your association with individuals, why are so many of them in this category?
My association, as you loosely define it, is by appearing in media over 1,000 times to take on people who are putting on conspiratorial theories and to devour them of their false impressions and to talk to them about the truth. That is something that I will always continue to fight for, Senator.
Senator Graham.
Thank you. We'll eventually.
What you just witnessed was one of the most revealing and frankly troubling moments of Kos Patel's entire confirmation hearing. It was a crucial exchange that should alarm anyone who cares about the independence of American law enforcement. Senator Dick Durbin took Patel to task with a simple but profoundly important moral question. Was it wrong for Donald Trump to issue blanket clemency to over 1,600 January 6 defendants, including those who violently assaulted police officers and later went on to commit more crimes? A question rooted not in legalities, but in basic ethics and moral responsibility. And Patel's response? It was a striking dodge, one that revealed far more than he likely intended. Instead of giving a direct answer to the question, Patel deflected, shifting the focus to the president's constitutional authority to issue pardons. From there, he veered into a diversion about unrelated Biden commutations. This wasn't just an avoidance of the question, it was deflection. It wasn't a principled response. It was an attempt to hide behind political arguments and talking points, all while ignoring the core issue. Was it wrong for Trump to pardon people involved in an attack on the very foundation of the nation's democracy? But what Senator Durbin was really asking was much more significant than any legal analysis. It was a question about the moral compass of the man now nominated to lead the FBI. It was about whether Patel could stand up and condemn the abuse of presidential power that undermined justice and rewarded political violence. This isn't a hypothetical issue. It's about the real, tangible consequences of those clemencies. People who were pardoned by Trump for their violent actions on January 6th went on to commit further crimes. Those weren't abstract concerns. Those were real lives, real police officers, and real citizens at risk because of actions that were pardoned by a president who used his power to shield those who attacked the heart of our democracy. Patel's refusal to unequivocally condemn this behavior should send chills down the spine of anyone who believes in the rule of law. After all, the incoming FBI director is supposed to be someone who upholds the law impartially, who stands firm in the face of political pressure, and who enforces justice without fear or favor. Yet Patel couldn't even bring himself to take a stand against those who violently stormed the Capitol, directly endangering law enforcement officers and the very institutions that the FBI is tasked with protecting. Instead of drawing a firm line against political violence, Patel stayed silent. This wasn't just a political question. It was a fundamental test of Patel's character and fitness to lead the FBI. The position of FBI director demands moral clarity. It demands a willingness to call out abuses of power and to ensure that the law is applied equally to all citizens, no matter their political affiliation. But what we saw from Patel in this exchange wasn't leadership. It was evasiveness, rooted in political loyalty rather than principle. When Patel was given multiple opportunities to stand on the right side of history, to reject the actions of those who attacked the Capitol, he refused. He couldn't even say that pardoning violent offenders from January 6th was wrong, and that in itself is deeply troubling. Senator Durbin's second line of questioning brought even more troubling revelations to the surface. Durbin raised Patel's repeated associations with extremist figures like Laura Loomer and the far-right media network of Stu Peters. Rather than own his associations, Patel tried to downplay them, claiming that it was just about taking pictures and appearing in media. But here's the problem. When you consistently appear on platforms that spread hate, conspiracy theories, and anti-Semitism, and you lend them your credibility, it's not an accident. It's a pattern. And that's a pattern that disqualifies anyone from leading the FBI, an agency tasked with upholding the law and protecting the American public from extremism. Patel's refusal to fully condemn the extremism he was associated with raises serious concerns about his judgment and worldview. The FBI director must be seen as impartial and independent, someone who upholds the Constitution and the rule of law above all else. Yet, Patel's behavior suggested that his loyalty lies not with the Constitution, but with Donald Trump and those who seek to subvert the very foundations of our democracy. That's a dangerous mindset for anyone in a position of power, especially someone who is supposed to lead the nation's top law enforcement agency. And this is where the stakes grow even larger than Patel's nomination alone. His confirmation is part of a broader and more alarming project to politicize law enforcement. We are witnessing the transformation of the FBI from an independent investigative agency into a political enforcement tool for Trump's movement. This is about more than just one man's qualifications. It's about the future of American democracy and whether the rule of law can survive in an era of political manipulation. Durbin's question, whether America is safer because of these pardons, should echo long after this hearing. The evidence points to a clear answer. No. The clemencies issued by Trump sent a message that violence for political ends could be forgiven, even celebrated, and appointing someone like Patel, who refuses to condemn that message, only deepens the danger that the FBI could be turned into a political weapon. At its core, this exchange wasn't about policy. It was about truth. Patel was given multiple chances to affirm a basic principle, that violence against police officers and government institutions should never be excused or rewarded. He couldn't say it. And that silence speaks louder than any partisan defense ever could. This hearing should remind us all why oversight matters, why senators like Durbin must continue to press those in power, and why we must stand up whenever justice is at risk. Because when power is abused, when truth is warped, and when institutions like the FBI risk becoming pawns in a political game, someone needs to remind us what justice is supposed to mean. If you believe that law enforcement should serve the Constitution, Constitution, not political loyalty, then this moment should concern you. The independence of the FBI isn't a partisan issue. It's the backbone of democracy itself. Stay informed, stay engaged, and don't let this slide into normalization.